Nice launch trajectory and countdown net. Pad is clear.
10, 9, 8.
Launch auto sequence
7,
has started.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go for launch.
Vehicle is supersonic. Stage separation confirmed. Dragon, separation confirmed. Stage 1 is transonic. Landing legs have deployed. And Falcon 9 has landed.
Seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power and liftoff of ViaSat-3. Go ViaSat, go Falcon Heavy.
We will throttle those engines back up on those side boosters.
Max Q.
And great call out, we have passed through Max Q. So we're going to throttle up those engines again on these side boosters. You can follow along the telemetry on your left hand, on the bottom left hand of your screen. You can see the speed and the altitude of the vehicle. And some incredible views of Falcon Heavy in flight. Now, 2 minutes into flight, we will reduce the thrust on the two side boosters again, and that will be to decrease the forces on the vehicle structure. And that's because the vehicle is now lighter as we're burning through the fuel on the vehicle, but the thrust will remain constant. And wow, that looks amazing on the screen, all three boosters burning bright there.
Falcon Heavy is following a nominal trajectory.
And good call out on trajectory. Now again, we're gonna throttle down the side boosters, and then the next event coming up in about a minute or just under a minute will be BECO, that's booster engine cutoff. That's where we will shut down the engines on the side boosters, and then we will separate the side boosters from the center core. And as a reminder, we are not landing our side boosters or center core today due to performance needed on today's mission. And BECO, or booster engine cutoff, is coming up here in a few seconds.
MVAC engine chill has started. Booster engine cutoff.
Side booster separation confirmed. Both side boosters FTS has safed.
Great views there. We had BECO, booster engine cutoff, and we watched as those side boosters, and you could see them there on your screen, those side boosters falling
Vehicle
away.
is following a nominal trajectory.
Falling away from Falcon Heavy's center core. awesome views. That's going to wrap it up for the side boosters today. The next event coming up here in about 30 seconds or so is main engine cutoff. That is also called MECO, and that will be on the center core, followed by stage separation and then the startup of our second stage engine.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed. Stage 1 FTS has safed.
MVAC ignition. Acquisition signal, Bermuda.
And we got some great views. We watched MECO as the engines on the center core shut down, stage separation, and now you can see on your screen that the MVAC engine has ignited. Now we are coming up on fairing separation.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And also we're able to see and hear the call out that
Stage 2 is following a nominal trajectory.
that the fairing halves have separated. They are now falling back down to Earth, and we will attempt to recover them using our recovery vessel, Doug. Now what you're looking at on your screen is a view on our second stage, looking aft at our MVAC engine. And our MVAC engine on the second stage is currently in the middle of its first burn. This burn has about a minute and a half left. After that, we'll have an additional 2 burns of our second stage engine before payload deployment. As a reminder, our main payload for today's...
Stage 2 continues to follow a nominal trajectory.
Good callouts. Our main payload for today's mission is ViaSat-3, and we do have 2 secondary payloads on board as well from Gravity and Astranis. That is the Gravity Space 1 and Astranis's MicroGEO satellite. If you're just now joining us, we're currently in the middle of the first of 3 burns for this MVAC engine today. The next event coming up is in just under a minute and 15 seconds. We will have SECO 1, or what we call second engine cutoff 1. And that will end the first of those 3 burns. Today's mission marks SpaceX's 28th launch this year, 227th overall mission to date, and our 5th operational Falcon Heavy mission.
Stage 2 FTS has safed.
Now on your right-hand screen, you can see the MVAC engine.
Stage 2 has entered terminal guidance.
And we're getting good call-outs there. On the bottom right-hand of your screen, you can see the speed of the second stage as well as the altitude. And we are about 20 seconds or so from SECO 1. That's where we will shut down this MVAC engine and allow the vehicle to coast with the payloads on board.
Expected loss of signal, Cape.
And you could see that MVAC engine beginning to shut down. We did hear a call out for expected loss of signal.
Nominal parking orbit.
And we got confirmation of good orbit. So with confirmation of second engine cutoff and a good orbit, we'll be heading into a coast phase until our second relight of our MVAC engine around the T plus 30-minute mark. We'll come back to bring you live coverage of that second burn in about 20 minutes. So until then, sit back and enjoy the space tunes.
Suspected loss of signal from Bermuda.
Welcome back to our coverage of the ViaSat-3 Americas mission. If you're just joining us, we did have an on-time liftoff at 8:26 p.m. Eastern Time from Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A. Due to the performance requirements on this mission, we did not recover the side boosters or the center core, but our second stage is well on its way. Coming up next is the second of 3 total burns that the second stage needs to execute before payload deployment. Now for this next burn, we might lose ground station coverage, partly through the burn, so while we may not be able to confirm SECO-2 or good orbit immediately after, our team on console will be able to confirm this when we acquire signal from the next ground station. Now this burn should last just about 2 minutes and starting any second now. As you can see on your screen, we did just start up the second engine for the second burn. The purpose of this burn is to take us from a parking orbit in low Earth orbit and extend our apogee, or peak of the orbit, to an altitude of about 30,000 kilometers. The next burn after this, the third burn, will take the lower side of that orbit and also extend it out to about 30,000 kilometers. And that will put us in a geostationary orbit. Now, what's special about a geostationary orbit is it takes roughly 24 hours for a satellite in this orbit to complete one full orbit around the Earth.
Expected loss of signal, Gabon.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, it does look like we have lost ground station coverage. So once we regain signal at the next ground station, we should hear a call out for SECO-2, and that stage 2 is in a good orbit. Now, as far as live coverage for our third and final burn, that will occur in a couple of hours from now at the T+ 4 hour and 22-minute mark. I hope you all stick with us, and we will see you then.
Acquisition of signal, Melindy.
Nominal transfer orbit.
Diego Garcia. Acquisition of signal molded. Copy that, SC.
Western Australia.
Acquisition of signal Tasmania. Acquisition of signal Hobart. Acquisition of signal, Guam.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for the ViaSat-3 Americas mission. If you're just joining us, we did have an on-time liftoff at 8:26 p.m. Eastern Time from Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A. And so far, we have had 2 successful burns of our second stage MVAC engine, and we are coming up on our 3rd and final burn before payload deploy. Now that burn is coming up here in just about 15 seconds or so, and we will hopefully be able to see a live view of that burn. There you can see on your screen, we have ignition of our MVAC engine. That is called SES-3, or Second Stage Engine Start 3. This burn will last just about a minute long. And what you're seeing on your screen is a view from our second stage looking aft at the MVAC engine. It's glowing pretty bright there. The payloads are still attached to Falcon 9. So once this burn is complete, the vehicle will coast for just a bit, and then we can begin our deployments of our payloads.
Burn 3 is complete.
And we did lose the live view, but we did get confirmation.
Looks like good injection.
Nominal geo insertion.
Great call-outs. We did get confirmation of COSMO-3, that's second stage engine cutoff 3, as well as a confirmation of good orbit. So in a few minutes, we have the first of 3 payload deployments scheduled at the T+4 hour and 32-minute mark. So we'll see you back here in about 9 minutes for the deployment of the ViaSat-3 mission.
Welcome back to the webcast for the ViaSat-3 Americas mission. So far in the mission, we had an on-time liftoff. We've had 3 successful burns of our second stage, and we're coming up on the deployment of the ViaSat-3 spacecraft. The The ViaSat payload deploying shortly is now the largest all-electric satellite ever to be launched. And deployment is coming up in just around 40 seconds or so. You can see in the telemetry in the bottom right corner of the screen, we are now very high above the surface of the Earth, about 34,000 kilometers.
ViaSat-3 separation confirmed.
And there you saw and heard the confirmation of successful deployment of ViaSat-3 from our second stage. Next up on the docket, we have the deployment of Gravity's Gravity Space 1, which is scheduled around the T+ 4 hour and 40-minute mark. So we'll see you back here in about 6 minutes for that deployment.
Again, if you're just joining us, we had an on-time liftoff at 8:26 p.m. Eastern Time from Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A. We've had 3 successful burns of our second stage and successful deployment of the ViaSat-3 payload, and we're now coming up on the deployment of the Gravity Space 1 payload. Gravity Space 1 is a 16U CubeSat and the first commercial CubeSat in geosynchronous orbit. It will be used for Internet of Things, a rendezvous and docking experiment, and orbital slot reservations. And that deployment is coming up here in just about 15 seconds or so. What you're seeing on your screen is a view from the second stage looking forward. We should be able to see the payload deploy here shortly.
Gravity space separation confirmed.
And there it was. You just saw the Gravity Space 1 spacecraft drift away from Falcon 9's second stage. So next up will be the final milestone of today's mission, the deployment of Astranis' first MicroGEO satellite, which is scheduled for the T+ 4 hour and 46-minute mark. We'll see you back here in about 6 minutes.
Welcome back once again to our coverage of the ViaSat-3 Americas mission. We've had a nominal mission so far, and we're coming up on the last milestone for today's mission, which is the deployment of Astranis' first MicroGEO satellite. In partnership with Astranis' Alaska customer, Pacific Dataport, their first MicroGEO satellite is going to cover Alaska, and it will be the first satellite ever dedicated to a single U.S. state. In addition to this payload, Astranis is launching 4 additional satellites later this year with SpaceX on a dedicated Falcon 9 mission, so stay tuned for that. Deployment should be coming up here in just about 30 seconds.
Astranis separation confirmed.
And there you saw and heard confirmation of successful deployment of the MicroGEO payload from our second stage. With confirmation of successful deployment of our last payload on board the second stage, that will wrap up our coverage for the ViaSat-3 Americas mission. We'd like to thank Viasat for entrusting us with today's mission. We'd also like to thank the range and the FAA for licensing today's launch. And of course, we'd like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in. If you're interested in more launch content, head over to our website and social media platforms for updates on our next missions and milestones. Hope you all enjoy the week, and we will see you soon.